500 feet above the ground, an explosion erupts from the engine. The pilot desperately tries to maintain control, but the plane has lost power and slips into a nosedive. 2 seconds before impact, the pilot ejects with a force of 20 G. Despite being shot out horizontally and hitting the ground before his parachute can completely deploy, he's alive and taken to the hospital. The likely cause of the accident? A bird sucked into the right engine. The pilot suffered only a bruised stomach and a black eye when he bailed out of this doomed $15 million jet fighter. 3,000 feet, the X-31's computer is processing inaccurate data received from the Keel probe.
We think it may not be hooked up. It may not be hooked up.
The pilot struggles to maintain control of the aircraft, but the computer overrides his commands and sends the X-31 into a vertical climb.
Oh, God.
With no control, the pilot is forced to eject.
Okay, NASA 1, we have an ejection. We have an ejection.
76 seconds later, the X-31 is destroyed.
And the right.
Them with manual override. An older version of the plane, the Yak-38, is put on display. Showing off their hovering capabilities, the two fighters sit eerily still, just a few hundred feet above the runway. In a choreographed routine, they circle each other horizontally. Then, just seconds after they return to their starting points, one of the plane's engines cuts out. An instant after the pilot realizes he's lost control, he bails, and the plane plummets. Thankfully, the pilot lands safely on the tarmac. The accident happened because the exhaust from the plane on the left is sucked into the engine of the plane on the right. This disturbance in airflow causes catastrophic engine failure. Although the Yak-41 fighter is poised for a perfect landing, but the test pilot's about to find out just how tricky that's going to be. And as the jet fuel burns, the pilot is still trapped inside. What looks like a controlled speed is deceptive. The pilot's bringing it down too fast. The plane's fuel tanks rupture and burst into flames. Fire engulfs the wreckage, and there's...
Right, exactly. Oh, no.
Ooh, that's gonna be loud.
Mom!
God. You can see the plane on the camera too. Oh!
Boy, you got some ball. Look at that guy. What are you doing?
At 10:33 a.m., LaGuardia Tower advises TWA of traffic off to its right. No one realizes it, but the United DC-8 is heading straight for them. Then, 7 seconds later, as both planes approach 5,000, there's a brutal collision. One of the DC-8's engines tears through the fuselage of the Super Connie. The TWA plane breaks into pieces and goes down on the spot, crashing in Staten Island's Miller Airfield. But the United jet manages to stay aloft for 8.5 more miles until it's over Park Slope, Brooklyn, where Tom Regan, then 20 years old, is standing on the street.
I crossed the street at 7th Avenue and Sterling Place, just stepping on the corner, when I heard a loud whine. And when I turned around, the wing of the plane, United Airlines, was catching into the roof of the building that I had just left. And there was a tremendous explosion. Immediately, I dropped to the ground, and then moments after that, there was a second explosion. Bang! Just everything exploded. And now the whole place was on fire. I stayed on the ground for what I thought seemed to be a long time, but I believe it was only several seconds. And I jumped up and I ran, and I never looked back.
Oh yes, you're lucky. You might see it crash. Whoa! Whoa! Oh my God! Oh my God! Oh my God!
There goes the airplane.
You wouldn't want to have breakfast.
Oh my God.